Let's call the Monday, July 17th, 2023 meeting of the Dalton City Council to order. Mr. Mock will lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
which stands one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Next on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. We need to amend it to appoint Mr. Farrow to the Historic Preservation Commission and Mr. Mock to the Downtown Development Authority. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Goodlett,
Second.
second by Mr. Mock. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Next is the public commentary that we allow. Let's see, Darla Chambliss.
Hello, good evening. I'm never good with these things. I just want to tell you guys, I'm usually here to ask for funding, but tonight I just wanted to be here to thank you guys for the work that you did so that we could move out of one taxing district with some rules into another one where we could sustain our funding and make it better. And I wanted to let you know that this first paycheck for July for our library staff members, they had their increase. And we're very thankful, and it wouldn't have happened without your help and what you did to help us. So I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Darla. Yeah, y'all do important work.
Thank you.
Next, Alex Vitale.
Hi, everyone. How are you? I'm Alex Vital. I own Tenoch and Tabu, Casa Frida, 3 bars here in downtown. I came today to tell you guys the new ordinance that I'm pretty sure everybody is aware of it, trying to shut down restaurants and bars instead of 312. And I just want to let you know, guys, that such a change, it will affect heavily, and it will be a big impact for the city, for our community, and for our business, our life, our family. Everybody depends on such a big income, which is from 12 to 3. It's our peak selling hours, and I'm talking for every single bar in town. So I know what has been going on in downtown with the problems. I'm aware of it, completely aware of it. I always try to have a close relationship with the police department. I know we have some problems. I know there's always new problems that come, but we always take care of it. We always address them. I'm just always asking the police department to let me know what's the big issue. I work on it, address it. It doesn't matter if it takes money, it doesn't matter if it takes more time for me to stay over after even we close. Everybody's doing an effort. I speak for myself completely. I know I give the police department headache sometimes because thank God we've been successful in both business. Sometimes I have too much people, and to control such a big crowd, sometimes it's hard. I try my best, and always, of course, the first is safety for everybody. I take every precaution. I got cameras, I got security always. Sometimes I have bad nights. I can count on 2, 3 bad nights where I'm understaffed on security, and I have fights, or maybe other things that I need the support from the police department. I have nothing to say but good things about the police department. They're always there, every call. They're always there within minutes, always supporting the business, always there for us. And I just really want you guys to think very deeply before doing such a change. Because on the other hand, I got 25 employees that depend on this income. And I'm talking about securities, bartenders, and other people that work from after 12 until 3. And of course, myself. You know, I got other businesses that depends on this income. It's one of my most profitable business, and I depend on it. So, and of course, you guys are aware of how much taxes we pay and all the crowds that we bring. I talk to for my business. I bring around, I don't know, 400 to 600 people every weekend, Friday and Saturday, to my business, and those people stay in Dalton and spend their money in the city before and after. So I think that contribute a lot with the city and helps you guys collect funds for other things other than just downtown. So I think like the money that we contribute from the business, it's big for you guys and it helps a lot. So I just wanted to share that with you guys and just to think about it. And I'm here to work with the police department, to work with you guys, to address every problem, to fix it right away on the spot. And I'm just here to work with you guys. I'm not against you. I'm not against anybody. I'm just gonna work and keep working on our business, keep it successful, keep it alive. And the nightlife in Dalton, it's because I've been doing it for 4 years. I opened, I believe, the first bar in Dalton, the Latino bar, Casa Frida. Since then, the nightlife is becoming more alive and more alive. After 12 until 3 a.m. or even earlier, you can see how alive is Dalton right now at night. You see people, I love it myself, seeing people walking all around, jumping bar to bar. You know, it's lovely to see people there. Young people, you know, I know other people don't like these things, but I mean, we'll have siblings, family, friends. They like this kind of entertainment, you know. And again, guys, I'm here to work with you guys, and I support you, and I expect you guys support my business. Thank you so much, you guys.
Yeah, thank you, Alex. Don Wilson.
Thank you, Mary, and City Council. I appreciate the opportunity to speak in front of you today. You know, my name is John Wilson. I'm the co-owner of the Gallant Goat with my business partner, Elizabeth Caperton. We're also in opposition to this proposed amendment to changing the hours for providing alcohol by the drink. So first of all, we built a business model, you know, based on the laws of the state and the city. And we've worked tirelessly to try to make a small business work in this town and try to provide something that our town has not seen before. And I've heard this from, if I've heard it from one, I've heard it from 100 people, that we are providing something that Dalton has never had before. Okay. So, you know, our business pays upwards of $4,000 a year in just in the alcohol licensing, just to have the privilege to sell alcohol in this town. Okay. So this ordinance is moving the goalpost forward during the middle of the game. Okay.
Correct. There is no ordinance at the moment.
I know
Yeah.
this proposed ordinance. I'm sorry.
There's not even one that's been proposed yet. So,
Okay. Well, it sounded like it was in the paper, but my apologies. So when it comes to you know, this type of thing, this change, that's proposed change that's been put forward, I believe will disrupt our business model personally. And it makes it more difficult for us to recover our costs and to meet our customers' needs. When it comes to making dining decisions, attending concerts, embracing vibrant nightlife, citizens, tourists, and guests consider a multitude of factors, including the availability of alcohol sales after midnight. Okay. The perception of Dalton closing its doors at midnight could potentially steer them towards Chattanooga or Atlanta, resulting in loss of business for everybody. Okay. Secondly, for decades, Dalton was considered just a mill town. This is where you made your money and then you spent it somewhere else. The reason you spent it somewhere else is because there was nothing to do here. I've been here since the 70s. I know exactly what there was to do in Dalton. There was nothing. So I would go to Chattanooga. I left, you know, I worked here and I went somewhere else. Okay. So, you know, if that wasn't bad enough, we had the Great Recession. And I'm sure a lot of you guys, especially being on city council, would remember when someone from the New York Times came down here and wrote an article about how pitiful our town was. And they said, and I'll have a little excerpt here from the New York Times in 2012. Still, it's hard not to wonder what might become of Dalton, which started when the railroad arrived in 1847. Now, downtown holds not much more than 3 pawn shops, an espresso bar that plays Christian soft rock, and headquarters for the Carpet and Rug Institute trade group. All you need to do is get on the road and see what's happening here, said Mr. Hall, the former football star. Everybody's going the opposite direction. Okay, so over the years, a lot of us and a lot of people in this room, and you guys too, have worked tirelessly to transform Dalton into a place where people like to work, live, and play. Okay, this ordinance pulls at the fragile thread that holds Dalton's recovery together and threatens to undo the progress that we've made. And this will take us backwards. Okay. And lastly, ask yourselves, why are people moving back to Dalton? Why are we building apartments that you can see over here, hundreds of units? Okay. Why are we building those? And you might say jobs. Maybe you say low tax rate. Okay. Well, I'm here to tell you, we've had the largest carpet companies on the planet in this place for decades. And for decades, people moved away. Okay. It's not all about jobs. It is about jobs, but it's not all about jobs. It's about jobs and an opportunity for people to raise their kids in a great town that has entertainment, has things for people to do. And if if a proposal like this goes through, then we're going to be looking at saying, well, they roll up the streets in Dalton at midnight. So, that just smacks in the face of everything that we have done before. So I would just like to say, for the record, this amendment is a step in the wrong direction. If it is proposed at some point in time, I feel like it's a step in the wrong direction for a modern Dalton. Thank you.
Thank you. Yep. Next is presentation from the Dalton Area Convention and Visitor Bureau. Ms. Thigpen.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council men. The primary purpose of the Convention and Visitors Bureau is marketing Dalton Whitfield. We specialize in bringing that visitor into our community, whether it's through conventions, meetings, conferences, sporting events, trade shows. The whole purpose of what we do is to get them to come in our community, but then they go back to where they reside. A lot of our efforts aren't seen here in our community because this isn't our market. Our market is out and about. Right, did you tell me this would work? Right.
Try sliding the screen like an iPad.
New technology. So what I wanted to show you tonight was our success in 2022 and give you a taste of what we do and have done. We distributed 15,000 visitor guides. We had 950,000 plus Explore Board views. Those are located at our Ringgold Visitor Information Center and Valdosta Information Center. And those are actually scroll through screens where people can go and look for further information on our community. We had 4,248 visitor inquiries. We put ads in Southern Living and Georgia Great Places, and those have inquiries that visitors can make to get more information on our community. And we fulfilled 4,248 of those. We had 88 qualified leads, 69 groups turned definite. And of that, we had 22 new events that selected our community, but only 12 of those actualized. Unfortunately, Mother Nature doesn't always work with our sporting events. We had 8,934 hotel rooms, and our marketing grant produced 6,439,111.36 in actual economic impact. And you can see the division of that per Whitfield County Parks and Recreation and DPRD. Disc golf course downtown, additional exhibits at our Tunnel Hill campus. We had 2,188 visitors to our Visitor Information Center at the Freight Depot downtown. We had 3,107 visitors to our Tunnel Hill campus, which is another hat that we wear. And we had 33 private trolley charters for 2022. All of this is not possible, obviously, without our economic engines, Dalton Parks and Recreation, Whitfield County, Dalton Whitfield Schools, and our Dalton Convention Center. And as you can see, the bigger economic picture for our community is vastly important. One of the gauges of our success is the tourism hotel motel tax collections. That is combined collections. And this past year, we had a record year at $2,053,899. The convention center is a huge piece to this as well. We had 41 groups that chose to hold their event at the center. Of those were 35 new groups, and we had about 65,680 attendees for 2022. If you remember, 2022 was kind of the year of the concerts. We had Travis Tritt, Marshall Tucker, and we also host various Hispanic dances. So believe it or not, 65,680 correlates to events at the center. The larger economic impact is calculated by way of an industry standard formula. The only multiplier in that is the $55 shopping dining. And that is based off of communities our size. I will say that that is conservative. We have seen where that number really is nowhere near the level of what they're bringing into our community, but I'd rather be conservative than inflate our numbers. But as you can see, when we calculate actual economic impact, we have actual reported information from our hotels, and then of course, the rental of the various entities that they utilize. So that into itself is an actual picture of what the tourists do for our community. Why do we do what we do? Because tourism is economic impact. You can see in 2021, Dalton Whitfield Travel and Tourism, we had $161.7 million in tourism spending. It created 1,433 jobs, $37.1 million in worker paychecks, $12.5 million in state and local taxes, and $8.1 million in federal taxes. We do what we do because it helps save us taxes for our community and for the state and for our nation as a whole. Travel and tourism is economic impact. In turn, it has power in regard to savings for you, I, and our community at large. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, if I could make one other point of order, we're working right now with Margaret and the CVB board to look at replacements of the trolleys. We've noticed that the existing trolleys have quite a bit of age on them and some other maintenance issues. And so I think that's something the city will need to partner with the CVB on funding to replace the current trolleys. So I just wanted to bring that to the council's attention.
Is that all, Margaret? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda are the minutes from the June 19th, 2023 meeting. Any additions, corrections, deletions?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Mock, second by Mr. Goodlet. Is that who? No, Mr. Farrer. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those like sign. Let's say it's Steve.
Farrer.
Let's Steve.
Sorry.
New business number 3, resolution 23-14, a resolution of the mayor and council to accept the resignation of Annalee Harlan Sams from the seat of City Council Ward 2 effective January 17th, 2023 at 12:00 noon to declare a vacancy and to call for a special election to fill the vacancy. Your motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Goodlet. There's a
Second.
second by Mr. Farrer. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, like sign. Number 4, resolution 23-15 to call for a special election to present questions to the voters is provided by House Bill 756, 758, 762, and 786 of the 2023 General Assembly of Georgia concerning homestead exemptions to be conducted by the election superintendent in conjunction with the general municipal election of the city of Dalton on November 7th, 2023, and for other purposes.
Mr. Miller.
Mr. Mayor, I have that. The state election code requires local governments to resolve to put questions, ballot questions, and it calls that a special election. And in conjunction with the city's election superintendent, Shani McClure at the Whitfield Board of Elections that conduct our municipal elections. We're asked to approve this so that these 4 ballot questions per the General Assembly for homestead exemptions can appear on the November 7th ballot.
Any questions, Terry? Is there a motion? Motion by Mr. Mock, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Goodlet. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, like sign. Number 5, 4, we got 423 alcohol beverage applications.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll take this. We have before you tonight 3 new 2023 alcohol applications. The first of which is Olive Garden Holdings LLC, doing business as the Olive Garden Italian Restaurant, number 6491. The applicant is Colleen Lyons, and this is a licensed type of pouring beer, wine, and liquor for the restaurant. Is there a representative here from Olive Garden? If you could, please step forward. Could you state your name for the record, please?
Christopher Wellock.
All right, Mr. Wellock, have you familiarized yourself with the city's alcohol beverage license and the requirements associated with those applicable ordinances?
I have, sir.
All right, thank you. You may have a seat. The next business new license is Birdie's on Morris Incorporated, doing businesses the same. Applicant is Clarabelle Ochoa. Do we have a representative from this business? This, while she's walking up, this is for pouring beer and wine, golf, amusement, and recreation. This will sound a little repetitive, but I'm going to ask the same question. Have you familiarized yourself with the license requirements in the city's alcohol code for pouring?
Yes.
Thank you. You may have a seat. The next one is Seafood Dalton Incorporated, doing business as the Juicy Seafood Kitchen and Bar. Applicant is Mr. Zhao, and the license type is pouring beer, wine, and liquor for restaurant. Can you please state your name for the record?
Yes, my name is Jiayu Zhao. I'm the representative of the Juicy Seafood.
Okay, and the same question, Mr. Zhao, have you familiarized yourself with the license requirements in the city's alcohol code?
Yes, we have a couple of restaurants already been set up.
Okay.
Same
All right, thank you, sir. And then the final alcohol license is an address change for LRR Investment LLC, doing business as El Rey de Oro. Applicant is Luciano Rodriguez at 1103 New Doris Street, previously at 1523 East Moore Street. The license type is for pouring beer, tavern, bar. If you don't mind, please come and state your name for the record.
Yes, I'm Luciano. I'm Luciano.
Thank you. And so I won't ask you the same question since you already are a license holder and it's just an address change.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's take the first 3 because they're new ones. Do I hear a motion on this? So moved. Motion by Mr. Mock, second by Mr. Goodlet. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, like sign. The other one's an address change, correct?
Yes, sir.
There a motion on it? Motion by Mr. Mock, is there a second? Second by Mr. Goodlet. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, like sign. Number 6, ordinance 23-13 to request of Benjamin Cordova and Mary Mendoza to rezone from transitional residential R6 to high density residential R7, a tract of land totaling 0.59 acres located at 1905 Abutment Road in Dalton. Ethan?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. The rezoning before you, you can see is a request from transitional residential to high density residential. And what prompted this request was the subject property had been rezoned within the last year. And the petitioner proposed to us the construction of a quadplex on the subject property. Since that time, they discovered some issues with building codes and things that were creating some issues with their price point that they were looking to achieve. And so in order to address that, they proposed to build 2 duplexes that would be detached on this property. And in order to do that, they would need a high density residential zone district because that is the only zone district in this case, it's applicable for this area, that allows 2 structures, 2 primary dwellings on a single tract of land. So the net density increase for this rezoning, although it is increasing the zoning intensity, would be net neutral in the terms of going from a quadplex to 2 duplexes. In terms of code compliance and so forth, any new construction, which would of course have to occur in this project, would have to be compliant with any parking regulations, setbacks, and any other regulations that would apply. The recommendation from the staff was to approve, found no issues with surrounding zoning or development. Seems to be in this area a lot of manufacturing and industry, but there is a pocket residential neighborhood on Marvitt Drive. And this would fit in with that area without creating any change in character. And the Planning Commission also gave that a unanimous recommendation, and we heard no opposition during the public hearing. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Was this because it used to be on the pyramid that it looked like it create the island?
Previously it would have been zoned heavy manufacturing. And that would have been a byproduct of the old pyramid zoning, where the single family dwelling that's there now would have been permitted prior to 2015.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Your motion to approve, motion by Mr. Mox, or second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Goodlett. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, like sign. Number 7, reappointment of Octavio Perez to the Dalton Whitfield Barnell Unified Planning Commission to serve a 4-year term to expire July 2027. Hear a motion on this?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Mox, second by Mr. Goodlett. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, like sign. 8, acknowledgement and intent to receive tentative allocation of federal funding in the amount of $150,000 for obstruction removal in the approach path of runway 32 at Dalton Municipal Airport.
Mr. Mayor and Council, good evening. We have here our tentative allocation for fiscal year 24 for federal grant funding. This is our normal annual allocation of 150,000. And this will be used for obstruction removal. We are currently in the obstruction removal design phase. So these project funds will be used to actually remove those trees at the end of runway 32 in the next fiscal year. The local match on this will be $8,334 if we use the full amount, and if the project comes in under that, that local match will be reduced. Happy to answer any questions on that.
Any questions? Hear a motion? Motion by Mr. Mock, second by Mr. Farah. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, like sign. Number 9, agreement between the city of Dalton and Croy Engineering for task order number 10 for obstruction removal design in the runway protection zone of runway 32 at Dalton Municipal Airport.
So back in March, the mayor and council approved GDOT contract 44, which was funding for this project as well as 2 other projects. This is the 3rd project in that list. We've been waiting on the environmental to be approved for this. So we finally got the notice to proceed from GDOT. And this will be to move forward with the engineering for obstruction removal on the 3-2 end. Again, this is covered in the GDOT grant contract number 44.
Motion to approve. Motion by Mr. Mock,
Second.
second by Mr. Goodett. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, like that. Like sign. Number 10, right-of-way encroachment permit, 301 East Morris Street. Chad?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This agreement between the city and 11th Avenue Realty Investments is to act as a right-of-way encroachment agreement for the structure located at 420 Sheridan Avenue. Or on Moore Street. Oh, Moore Street. I'm sorry. Pull that back. So for the 301 Moore Street right-of-way encroachment, the business owners of D Food Collab are requesting a right-of-way encroachment for the installation of handrail or pedestrian barrier to allow for overflow dining and an outdoor seating option. The Public Works Department has verified that there is ample room to accommodate pedestrian and ADA accessibility on the sidewalk where the encroachment is requested. This has been reviewed by the Public Works Committee as well as City Attorney's Office.
Any questions? Hear a motion? Motion by Mr. Goodlet. Second. Second by Mr. Mock. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, like sign. Number 11, indemnity and hold harmless agreement, 420 Sheridan Avenue.
All right, so this agreement between the city and 11th Avenue Realty Investments LLC is to act as a right-of-way encroachment agreement for a structure located at 420 Sheridan Avenue. This structure was built a number of years ago. I couldn't pin down an exact date as to when the structure was constructed, but the area of encroachment actually takes place on a portion of May Street. The building extends approximately 5 feet into the right of way of May Street. Given the topography of the unopened portion of May Street, it would not be feasible to construct a future road. Therefore, Public Works has no issue with the encroachment. Again, this has been reviewed by Public Works Committee as well as City Attorney.
Any questions? Motion by Mr. Mock, second, Mr. Farrell. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. 12, addendum number 1 to alternative probation services contract.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is to address clarifications requested by the Misdemeanor Probation Oversight Unit, which falls under the Department of Community Supervision. This is not something court requested or APS requested. So what it does is the clarifications will specify a standard reporting frequency for probationers. It will ensure that pay-only cases are supervised according to statute, confirm that all cases are supervised as concurrent unless specifically ordered, verify that the Georgia Crime Victim Emergency Fund is collected according to the statute, and include the specific end or expiration date of the service agreement. It has been reviewed by Judge Cowan, and it has been reviewed by the city attorney.
Who requested this?
This is the Misdemeanor Probation Oversight Unit. They're the ones statewide that oversee probation.
You're a state agency?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Mr. Mayor, I'm the liaison. This is the first I've ever heard of. So nobody talked to me about it. I know nothing about it.
Well, but the state is requesting it?
Correct.
I mean,
States requesting it?
Yes.
then,
So
Bill reviewed it.
Yes, we have. Jason Cannell and I have looked at the document with Ms. James. I wasn't aware.
What's the state?
So,
Explain.
so basically, they review probation contracts and make sure that they're in line with, state standards.
Okay.
And so they're just asking for these clarifications. There's no financial impact whatsoever.
That's fine.
So just about, I guess, 2 months ago, the council approved the APS contract. This would be minor modifications to that existing contract to get in compliance with state requirements.
Mr. Fair's our second by Mr. Mock. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Number 13, Courtware Solutions License Agreement.
So this is the contract with the court's software provider. This was requested by Courtware during the pandemic. Basically, Courtware is paid per citation close. So as we complete cases, then we pay a certain fee by contract to Courtware at the end of the month. And so during the pandemic, courts weren't open, so they weren't paid, even though they were providing a service. And so they're coming back to all the agencies that use them. Courtware is used by over 200 agencies across the state. Out of 390 municipal courts, they're in about 200 courts. So they continue to provide the service, but they were not paid during that time frame. And so this contract, what it does is they're asking for a monthly minimum. And so what they do is they average what each municipality pays. And so they're asking for something that's a little bit below what that minimum is. What that
Why weren't
average.
they paid?
They weren't paid because cases weren't closed during the pandemic. So like for 2.5 months, a lot of courts weren't having court.
It says that it has a slight increase to $7.
Correct. They're asking, so instead, currently the city pays $5 per citation closed. This contract would be $7 per citation closed.
Is the minimum something new?
It is something new, yes.
From who?
From Courtware. So this is the invoice that Court Services pays to Courtware for the service they provide.
And I believe you had done some research on our average monthly cost, and it was
Yes.
above this minimum, correct?
Yes, so the monthly minimum they're asking for is $2,000 a month. Currently, for the last 18 months, we've paid $2,189. So this is below what we normally pay per month.
Any other questions? Hear a motion? Motion by Mr. Farrow, there's a second. Second by Mr. Mock. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, like sign. 14 fiscal year 2023 budget amendment number 4.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is a comprehensive budget amendment number 4. As you are aware, we discussed this in length at Thursday's Finance Committee meeting. Nothing has changed. It's just moving various funding revenues to actual, adjusting for local grant matches, and adjusting for our CIP funding that's been approved, and transferring between funds to combine multiple projects that are being funded by multiple sources.
Is this everything we talked about in?
Yes, nothing's changed. Right.
Okay.
Right.
I move, we amend the budget.
Motion by Mr. Fair, is there a second? Second by Mr. Mock. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, like sign. Agreement with KRH Architects, Inc. for property and evidence addition at the Dalton Police Department.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm here with Deputy Chief Carlson, and what this is a standard form of agreement between owner and architect for the city's last 2020 SPLOST project, which was the property and evidence building expansion. The building will be expanded to the north and the existing green space. As I mentioned, this was a project that was on the voter approved referendum. Much like many of our other capital projects, inflationary costs created from the pandemic, supply chain issues. This project, I think, was originally pegged at a $1.7 million project. The architect is telling us that it's probably, once we go to construction, going to be closer to $2.5 million. And this agreement is with KRH Architects, who's done quite a bit of work for the city in the past. They do really good work. The contract requires them to have contract documents and plans completely finished by September 30th, 2023, with an anticipated construction commencement date of November the 15th. The cost of the work is 6% of the owner's budget. That's typically how these architectural agreements are arranged. It's a fixed fee of the total project cost. And again, this is the same agreement that we've had with them on other projects. It does have an exhibit from the city attorney's office that's referenced as an exhibit to the contract. And again, as we've talked about in finance committee meetings, with this being our last remaining project, we were trying to make an aggressive effort to get it started so that we can close out the project finances. And if there's any potential surplus in the SPLOST, we can do with it what the law allows in terms of paying down debt or other options.
Motion to approve. Motion, Mr. Mox, second. Second, Mr. Goodlett. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, like sign. Number 16, renewal of lease agreement with Robert E. Shaw for 114 North Penn Street.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. We have two property leases on the agenda tonight. These come up every so often, and I would ask you to remember about a year ago, the city changed its charter via home rule to allow extended lease periods for, I think, 5 properties throughout the city because statute limits us to lease terms on city properties unless your charter reflects for a longer lease period. The first one up is with Robert E. Shaw for the former city hall located at 114 Penn Street. The lease that's in front of you tonight is an exact extension of the lease that they've had for 20 years, which would sunset October 31st, 2044. It provides that the leasee will not pay rent, but they will be responsible for utilities and upkeep of the building and be required to maintain adequate insurance coverages for the property. And they're proposing, as I said, to extend that lease for 20 more years. And I will say one other point of interest is that the Historic Preservation Commission just last week approved a project for them to replace the windows in the building, which has significant leaks So there will be some significant costs that the tenant is covering.
Questions?
I move we approve.
Motion, by Mr. Fair, is there a second? Second by Mr. Mock. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, like sign. Number 17, renewal of Emory Center lease agreement.
This one, Mr. Mayor and Council, is slightly different. It's only for a 2-year lease extension. The Emory Center lease was scheduled to sunset this summer, and the leasee is looking at the future of the property. And so that instead of a 20-year renewal, they only ask for a 2-year renewal. The only change to the existing lease is, again, they wouldn't pay any lease payment, but they would be required to maintain insurance coverage and cover routine repairs to the building. The revised lease that's before you tonight does have a $600 a month direct payment to the Emory Center for utilities. Their insurance, their utility bill has been in the $1,200 to $1,300 range for several months, and during the pandemic, their cash reserves were depleted significantly because they couldn't have visitors coming and paying a fee to view the museum. And so this is a short-term 2-year extension with the city paying $600 per month in direct payment for utility assistance.
Questions? Your motion?
Move we approve.
Motion, by Mr. Fair, is there a second?
Second.
Second, by Mr. Goodall. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, like sign. Number 18, appointment of Denise Wood, Zab Mendez, and Jim Waskin to the 2024 SPOS Committee. There a motion? Motion, by Mr. Fair, is there a second? Second by Mr. Goodlet. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, like sign. We amended the agenda to appoint Steve Fair to the Historic Preservation Commission, Dennis Mock, the DDDA. Is that a mayor appointment?
Those are mayoral appointments.
All they got to do is agree, and they've agreed. Their motion, we adjourn.
Mayor,
We're adjourned.
I think before we adjourn, we ought to address why the issue that these people came here tonight, was removed from the agenda. Would you address that?
I'm not sure enough work was done on it.
Well, I just wanted them to have some, they came
It's gone back to the
anticipating this
city
because of
staff.
the article in the paper.
It's gone back to the city staff to review it, make recommendations or whatever. First of all, to the Public Safety Commission, and then they'll make a recommendation to us.
Well, and I understand that. I just wanted to be sure they knew why it wasn't on the agenda because they came thinking it was.
We adjourn. We're adjourned.